Deathscythe Hell. Hey again, Robert 184, Gundam.tk. The Master Grade Deathscythe Hell is, you've seen the parts, you've seen the D-box, now it's time to turn those into that. So here you have something that Gundam Wing fans have been waiting for 15 years. Well, I guess since the OVA aired anyway. The Master Grade Deathscythe Hell. And first impressions without the active cloak on and the wings, this thing looks fantastic. And the colors, I was a little bit worried because the grays came across as, the legs were so gray when I put it together. But just by having the black feet, the white parts on the knees, and then you've got the different colors in the skirt, the chest, and especially on the arms, he really bulks out in width because of the white up here and on the forearms. So no complaints about the overall simplicity of the lower body, and the fact that he's got those spiky edges all over the place, and the black and that little bit of red, the color scheme, the whole thing works for me 100%. Taking a look at mobility before he gets all encumbered, you're able to bring the skirts up about that far. The side skirts will go off that much and the back skirts there. So the legs can come all the way forward and bend this much. I've knocked off a bit of the back skirt there just on these little ball and peg mechanisms here. So when you bend that back down, the ankles are able to move off to the side, left and right, no problem. And because it's on the double ball joint, you're going to get a lot of mobility. For the upper body, you're going to be able to spin the arm all the way around, despite the fact that it's got that white part on there. You could just move it out of the way if you have to. The shoulders pop out, and of course I just pulled it right off there. But you're going to get good ability to bring this arm pretty much all the way across if you so choose. Again, this part is going to rotate at the shoulder. The arms are going to come up 135. The wrists are not separate, and the manipulators swap out the fingers as you see fit. And with the double ball joint down here on the waist, you're going to get a lot of mobility, but it's not going to twist much more than that. Outside of the skirt falling off just a moment ago, as you saw, this kit comes across as feeling very solid. So good design with the frame, and the parts seem to fit on very, very well. This is coming across as solid pretty much as the Strike Gundam, it feels like to me. So while the 90s had big hair and big shoulders, which the Deathscythe seems to exemplify, in terms of height it wasn't a bigger decade, and all of the kits were pretty much smaller compared to the 18 or 19 meters that you're going to get from a standard kit like Exia here on the left. It's much more similar when compared to its predecessor series, G Gundam. Here we've got the God Gundam on the left, but you really get an effect of the sleekness of the newer designs, especially the Katoki influence, and the much, much smaller heads. To get him fully equipped, you're just going to put this connector in here, which looks pretty solid so far. It was a very solid click putting that in. With the wings on, of course, he bulks up considerably, but mostly off to the sides, and in the sunlight, you really notice the plastic effect, so a little bit of top coat on that could really make this look a lot better, I think. In terms of colors, the red part sticking out over the shoulders all of a sudden add that little bit of extra punch, and the white parts on the shoulders, which I really liked before, offset on the black even better here, and especially with the white on the forearms, so you get that whole color contrast that makes this whole thing work. Here it is with a shiny spin around. I remember doing this before I got the rotating base. To close up the active cloak, you're going to put down these red parts, pop out this part of the shoulder, or this part of the wing assembly, and then slide this white part up, because then you're going to lock that down. And it takes a little bit of fiddling to get the arms just right, and then after you've taken these white parts up, you're going to bend them back down just to give this impression of sleekness as it just sort of completes the whole thing this way. But now we have the Deathscythe in his formal evening wear going to the ninja party. I don't know exactly how often I'm going to use this mode, although it's going to take up a lot less room on the shelf. But again, some top spray would make a difference, but it is still cool that they've got this gimmick accurately recreated in the Master Grade form. Use the manipulators without the peg, although I have to note that this peg is actually pretty big, so hopefully it'll keep all the weapons nicely in hand. Here's a shot of him armed with the beam scythe, or beam scissors, as he comes spinning around, and getting him posed like this is not all that difficult, although there are a few things that you're going to have to keep in mind. These forearm parts here look very good, but they're going to interfere with some of the poses, so you're going to have to be careful to keep this out of their way when you're doing that. And the fact that the wrists don't pop out and have their own independent movement like they do on something like the 00 or the 00 Quanta is going to become a little bit of a problem here, especially when you consider the fact that the manipulators are set pieces here. So you're not going to be able to have the fingers close in and actually grasp it. So if you try to twist this pretty much any way up, you can't have the fingers hold it into place except for the thumb, and that's never going to keep it in place very well. Also over here, it's the same idea. You've got to keep everything out of the way, and it's just going to sort of sit loosely there in the fingers, so a little bit of sticky tack might keep it in place a lot better. The visual effect, though, of the green on the black, certainly striking, though. If you want to have one or two of the hands, though, in the exact same direction, both on the underside, because it's got this slit here, you're able to actually put that in there, and that'll keep everything in place, and you have the full range. It's not like they're setting where you have to put the manipulators. When you do that, though, you have to have the blade facing in the forward, so you're not going to have the same mobility or the ability to spin this around and put it in the position that you want. But it does stay in place perfectly well, no weight issues. In between his work in the field, he can take a break, although again it's going to have to be pointing up if you use this manipulator set. Another positive point about this whole thing is that when you pop the wings out, you're going to get more flexibility in the fact that you're able to bring them further back for a more stylized look, although you're going to have to worry about back issues if you bend them back too far, as it will want to topple backwards. Again, with the wing movement, you're able to bend this on a swing mechanism as it's attached onto the back, which is perfect because then you're able to take this part and attach it to the action base either up here behind the cloak, which is great that it's hidden, or you can attach it as usual down there to the waist section. Plugging this into the back, though, is going to cause a little bit of a problem because you do have to bring the cloak all the way forward, which makes it look a little bit strange. But also, you're going to have to be careful because this part sticks down on the bottom. If it was two parts that split off to either side here, you'd be able to get the action base in there and not have it interfere, but you're going to have to fiddle with the action base and this to get everything just right for the aerial poses. When he's aerial, this is the pose since the moment that I saw this thing that I wanted to make. So now a few things that you're going to have to be careful with again. Because on the action base you're going to have parts protruding all over the place, you have to keep an eye on that. And again, if you see the way everything is attached in there in the back, it really does slide everything forward. So the whole upper body is going to be scrunched forward, which you can cheat though by popping these out and then bending these back, which again just shows off how well designed this whole active cloak is. The only problem is with just a little bit of a push. Anyway, these things, I was having problems with them falling over earlier, so you're going to have to keep them straight up if you want to have any chance of gravity not winning. And again, depending on whether you want to use the manipulators with the peg in them or not, you're going to have more or less control of the beam scissors. But for me, that right there makes it all worth it. And finally, if you're a fan of Gundam Wing, I think this is a scene, or suppose anyway, that you're going to want to recreate the Deathscythe and the Wing Zero, Gundam of Gundams, thanks to your votes in the World Cup. And having these two just makes me want to have all five, all the more. Anyway, everybody, Robert184, gundam.tk, thanks for watching this. Stay tuned for my final verdict on the Deathscythe Hell. As always, let me know what you think about the video or the suit down below, and rate and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks for watching, everybody. See ya. Where's Tom Hanks in this whole picture?